What's up? How you doing today? My name is Lanre Ajayi, still here in Accra, Ghana, on a cultural, connection, exploring places and finding out meaningful, getting meaningful experiences. Today I'm here at the Kwame Nkrumah Park. Now, this is one of the greatest sons of Africa. He fought for Ghanaian independence, and then it was the first president, first leader of this beautiful country, the Black Star. So we're going to go into the museum and we're going to explore the things that, the legacy of this great man. So like I do it on this show, drop of a muscle, stretch, let's go in and check out the complex. So you can see from the bust here, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was born in 1909 and left this world in the year of 1972. And here it's a beautiful edifice. You can see beautiful space. Let's go. So many activities takes place in this park. Like you can see a couple, just taking their wedding pictures, and then we're gonna go inside and check out what we've got in this space. Let's go. When you walk into this space, greeted with an amazing array of Ghanaian flag tied in form of a ribbon, with the Black Star in the middle, and then you have this sign, Akwaba, welcoming you. Now, here on the wall you see different pictorial images, paintings done by Ghanaian artists, of Dr. Nkrumah. The many faces of this legend, this great leader. Beautiful. The first thing that caught your attention when you come in is this beautiful masterpiece. This is a Cadillac 1961, and this car was gifted to Dr. Kwame Nkrumah by John F. Kennedy, the then President of the United States of America, and is still preserved up till today. You don't get to see this kind of Cadillac any longer. A rare one. Amazing. And then for you to, come into this space, there is a fee you gotta pay. So we're gonna go now and pay and then go and experience the rest of the park. Let's go. So right now, I got a ticket for me and my crew behind the camera. You can see them. For a foreigner, if you're not a Ghanaian, it's 100 cedi, and then for students 15 cedis. Now 100 cedi is equivalent to how much in dollars? Like about $10, which is very affordable. And then we're gonna go on a tour of the park. Let's go. I ran into this lovely damsel, and then she's a Nigerian, born in Ghana, raised in Ghana, so technically she's a Ghanaian. So she knows this place better. So what's the name?
My name is Michelle.
Michelle.
Yeah.
You've been in Ghana all your life?
Yeah, literally born here.
Yeah. So tell our audience some two unique things about Ghana. When you think about Ghana, like wow.
When you think about Ghana, you think about the castles.
Okay.
When you think about Ghana, you think about nature.
Okay.
I.e. Kakun Park.
Okay.
Avery Gardens.
Okay.
When you think about Ghana, you think about the food.
Amazing. Now, you've been coming to this park for how long?
Actually, this is my first time. You will not believe it.
I'm here, second time. I've not gone inside. I'm gonna go inside to, check it out. Who's your favorite artist? Ghanaian artist?
My favorite artist,
hip-hop,
I'll give it to Sarkodie.
Sarkodie.
A bit of
the
Stone
lyrical,
Boy.
rap master, genius.
A bit of Stone Boy.
Anyway, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you too.
I'm going to do Manuel here
today's talk.
Behind
before we start, we'll be having a history or a brief history of Kwame Nkrumah.
So
this about this very part.
Allow him to talk and take us.
So let's do that over there so that we proceed.
Okay, let's go. So we are out of the tunnel, and then it's been an amazing, the history is so rich. You see the influence of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, across different continents across different countries on the continent of Africa. His influence to Guinea-Conakry, to Patrice Lumumba, of Congo Brazzaville, and his famous words. This is worth visit. Come here, you're going to see across this tunnel, back into the museum. Unfortunately, out in here, so I'm going to give you a kind of a summary of whatever we're going to learn. We're going to be seeing his personal, effects, and then we'll be right back.
You are welcome. As I mentioned, so my name is Emmanuel, and I'm going to be your guide for today's tour. So before we start, we'll be having a brief history. So this park is the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, which is also a very special place as well. And this was where the history of Ghana was somehow shaped in the history of Africa. So Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana's first Prime Minister, Ghana's first President, stood exactly on this park to declare the independence of Ghana. So 6th of March 1957, Ghana became the first sub-Saharan African country to gain independence, and specifically stood exactly where the statue is. So the bronze statue you are seeing over there, that was the exact spot Kwame Nkrumah stood to declare the independence of Ghana. So initially this whole park you are seeing was a polo grounds for the British, where they used to play their game polo. Right. Unfortunately, Ghanaians were not allowed here. So that was one of the reasons why Kwame Nkrumah decided to also choose this place, and to spice everything up after Ghana's independence. He chose this very place to declare the independence of the country and to show that we are no more under the British colony. So the name of the country after independence was changed. At first, Ghana was known as the Gold Coast because of the quantity of gold changed. The flag was introduced, national anthem introduced. So this whole park was built in 1991, commissioned in 1992. And it was built by our former president, the late Jerry John Rawlings. And that's to honor the legacy of Osajifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. So the Osajifo attached to his name, which is a title in the Ghanaian language. Whenever you hear Osajifo, it means the savior, the redeemer, or the warrior. The savior, the redeemer, or the warrior. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was born in the western region of Ghana on 21st September 1909 in Nkrofo. Over there, he was enrolled in a Roman Catholic elementary school. Then at the age of 16, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah became a people's teacher because of how brilliant he was in academics. So around 1926, he went to the Prince of Wales College, currently known as the Achimota Senior High School. So that was the name of the college then. Struggled his way out around 1935. That was when he got admitted to the Lincoln University in the US, and later won a scholarship as well. So courses like theology, economics, sociology were read by Kwame Nkrumah for the first time. Went on to the master's level, also in the US, specifically the University of Pennsylvania, UPenn. So masters in philosophy, masters in education. Until 1945, Kwame Nkrumah went on to the London School of Economics, and that was just for a semester until he returned to the country in 1947. So in the Manchester or in UK, Kwame Nkrumah helped to organize the 5th Pan-African Congress. That was held in Manchester, together with some people who inspired him. For example, we had W.E.B. Du Bois, who inspired Kwame Nkrumah, also Marcus Garvey as well. So they were leaders who inspired Kwame Nkrumah's vision to unite Africa and also fight for the independence of the country. So he returned to Ghana in 1947. 1947 was when officially the first political party was formed in Ghana, and that was the United Gold Coast Convention, or the UGCC. They invited him to the country to be the general secretary of the political party. Then in the following year, 1948, there was a very huge riot in Ghana. That riot led to the arrest of Kwame Nkrumah himself, together with other 5 leaders of the political party. So in Ghana, they are popularly termed as the Big Six. The Big Six. They were the leaders of the first party who got arrested after the whole riot. So they are the same men on the money, as I mentioned earlier on. So after a few months in prison, they were released. Then in 1949, the following year, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was the only man among these leaders who was pushing for Ghana's independence to be now, or self-government now. So he brought some ideological differences, which made him to resign. So Kwame Nkrumah resigned to form his own party, and that was the Convention People's Party, or the CPP. That was when he gathered the majority of the people in the country, and they were protesting and even campaigning for self-government now, or independence now. He came up with an action, and that particular action led to his second arrest. So Kwame Nkrumah was unfortunately arrested for the second time for introducing the positive action. the positive action, which was imitated from Mahatma Gandhi of India. That was the same strategy that Kwame Nkrumah used. So we had non-violent strikes, protests, and even boycotts, just to put pressure on the British government. So for the second time, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was arrested. This time around, for him to serve 3 years in prison. So whilst he was in prison, Ghanaians or the people of the country sent some petitions to the British government to include Ghanaians in their decision making, and they finally agreed. And per the rules and regulations of the British, Kwame Nkrumah had the opportunity to contest in the election. Unfortunately for him, he also won the election whilst he was in prison. So that election was to form the parliament of the country. So we have Ghana's old parliament house just here, the white building across the street. That's Ghana's old parliament house. So at that time we had about 38 seats in parliament, 38 seats. And out of the 38 seats, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's political party, the CPP, won 34 seats. For that reason, he was forced to be released. So instead of 3 years, he served 1 year, 2 months in prison. So he came out from prison in 1951. That was when he became the leader of government business. In the following year, 1952, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah occupied the position as the first prime minister of the country. He became the prime minister from 1952 till 1959. Then within this year, specifically 6th of March, 1957, that was when Ghana became the first sub-Saharan African country to gain independence. As I said, he stood exactly on this park to declare the independence of the country. At first in Africa, which was located in Western Mali, it was known as the Ghana Empire. And that is where southeastern Mauritania is currently located. It was an empire on its own. Not just Ghana, it comprised of different countries. So we had Guinea being part, we had Mali, and this was the modern day Ghana as well. So basically the name Ghana simply means the warrior king. The warrior king, or a chief of a war. That's the meaning of the name Ghana, which was an empire on its own. So the flag was changed, national anthem changed. At first, using the things of the British, the national flag, the national anthem. Until 1st July 1960, that was when Ghana became a republic state, a republic country. So Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was sworn in as the first president of the country. Initially, he was the prime minister, this time around, the first president of the country. In the year 1966, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was on a peace mission, or a diplomatic mission to North Vietnam, Hanoi. And on his way, the time he got to China, that was when he heard the news his government has been overthrown. So there was a military coup d'etat in collaboration with his own policemen, which were led by some few men. So we had Emmanuel Kotoka, JWK Halley, Afrifa, Ankara. They were the leaders of the coup that happened in 1966. So for example, they were this propaganda agenda against his government, to finding ways and means to overthrow Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's government. And also what brought the whole chaos was when in 1964, the parliament also introduced the one-party system, which brought up the whole chaos. So the coup d'etat also goes beyond internal forces. Kwame Nkrumah wasn't just a great Pan-Africanist, he was also a great author.
So after the long, brief history about Ghana, you know, this exact spot where you see the statue of Dr. Nkrumah is where he declared the independence of Ghana. Originally, this land place where the British play polo, you know, and then, but you know, and Ghanaians were not allowed, you know, typical, allowed to come to this space, but being a very smart, chose the same space here to declare the independence of Ghana. And right behind is where he was officially and finally buried after his body was exhumed from Guinea-Conakry to his hometown and finally here.
Okay, so let's talk about this place, built in 1991. And the brain behind this was a Ghanaian architect. He was called Don Atta, which is made up of Italian marbles, as you can see over there. So before we go, this mausoleum we are looking at, first of all, let's focus on the sides of the mausoleum. So the sides of the mausoleum represent a sword with a handle, which has been turned upside down into the ground. That's the size of it. A sword turned upside down into the ground, like this. So traditionally, whenever a sword is being raised, it means there's a war in the country. To turn upside down, it means there's peace in the country. So that's the size of it, which talks about peace. At the same time, this mausoleum you're looking at represents a tree which has been cut short without the branches. which means Dr. Kwame Nkrumah wanted to do more, but unfortunately couldn't finish. So visions were cut short after he was overthrown. So that's the meaning of the mausoleum built in 1991 you are seeing over there. So before we go, let me introduce one of the first trees planted on this park to you. So most of the trees you are seeing around were planted by some African leaders. So this was one of the first trees, the mango tree you are seeing over there, planted on this park. So this mango tree was planted in 1991.
Going to see the mausoleum of where the great man was buried, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Wow, this is where history, not just dead, but come alive. First Prime Minister and President of the Republic of Ghana.
Welcome to the final resting place of Ghana's first President, Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. As I mentioned, this has been the third time he has been buried. So 3 months in Guinea-Conakry, almost 20 years in his hometown, and finally here in 1992. So this has been the third time, passed away at the age of 63. So he got married to an Egyptian, as I mentioned, and she has also been buried right here beside Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. So the grave is right here. So before we pass by, she died in the year 2007 and at the age of 75. And the reason why the wife has been buried right here was that before she passed away, she requested to be buried beside the husband. So she died in Egypt specifically, 2007, brought her in 2007. And also because of her request, that's why she has been buried right here beside the president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. So let's kindly pass by to have a look at the grave so that we can move on to the next section. So
this is the grave of his wife, the Egyptian wife, Fatia Nkrumah. This is the Freedom Wall.
different stages he went through, things made him sad, he was happy at some point, he used to be angry as well.
Now, behind the Freedom Wall is different pictures, faces of Dr. Nkrumah. You know, other part is covered because it's an event going on today. But here is an amazing statement, which it's authentic till tomorrow. And this is one of the words of Dr. Nkrumah saying, I am not African because I was born in Africa, but because Africa was born in me. And that is a major, statement of fact, because African was born in me, and that is why I'm African. Not because of my color, or the way I sound, or the way I look. And this is where I draw the curtain of today's episode of My City Speaks to Me, the global edition here at the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park. When they say come to Ghana, I highly recommend that you come to this place, and then you will be filled with awe, and you'll be inspired, to want to do more. Like I do it on this show. Don't move a muscle. Stretch. Be good. Till I come again your way with amazing episode of My City Speaks to Me, either from Calgary or around the world. This is me, Larry Ajayi, signing off. Let me just take you around and show you all the